All right, there we are. So episode two, guys. We're the Ballbusters show now. Last episode we didn't come up with a name before we recorded, but we're the Ballbusters show. It's a thing now. We're doing this. Consistency is the key, and two episodes feels pretty consistent. We're here to recap last weekend's wildcard games and look ahead to the divisional round and cover all four games we have this weekend. Lawrence, how's it going? How we doing?
It's going good. This first week was very chaotic. Couple of our picks were wrong.
Yeah, a few.
Um, some very great games though, and I'm excited to get going on this.
No, I'm quite stoked myself. So first off, we're just gonna recap last weekend's games. And to start that off, we got Rams Panthers, which I don't believe went how anyone expected it to go. That was intense. I had the Rams myself. I believe you as well had the Rams,
Yep,
Lawrence. And this is this is a crazy way to start it off. We had a banger game to start.
it was good. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Um, the Panthers just played their hearts out. No other way to put it. But I mean, we saw this coming. It wasn't gonna. Maybe not this year. Maybe not this year for the Panthers, but the Rams, I do believe, are looking better than they've ever had before going into
Interesting.
this next round.
Interesting. That's crazy to say when a team has to come back and pull a win out in the fourth
It's all
quarter.
about winning.
It is all about winning, and obviously we're going to get to some other games that looked like looked hopeless for a while. And I do think the Rams looked very put together in that last quarter on those last drives. But it does worry me a little bit seeing Carolina put up 31 on them. It looks shy and flow and move the ball. Obviously, it didn't go the Panthers' way, and like you said, this is it's a young team.
Right.
It's they still have a great future ahead of them, and I think they're a year or two away from where they really want to be. But I do think that it's almost in a way more damning of the Rams. The Rams, while they made the comeback and they did their thing, it was a game where it felt like they should have won handily in the first place. Um, Especially for a good road team. But all in
Right.
all, like you said, they got the win, and that's what matters. That is really the key here.
Right. Well, I believe that because the Panthers beat the Rams in the regular season, so they already had, I'm sure, some things they remembered from that game. Um, but it was a playoff game. I think the Panthers had a little bit more pep in their step. Not saying that I don't agree that the Rams should have done better, absolutely, but yeah,
Pretty concise on that first game.
yeah,
I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on that game in
me
totality.
neither.
Like, it
Yeah,
was a good game. It was a fun watch, but at the end of the day, the result was the result we expected, regardless of how we got there. And I'm very interested to see what the Rams have in store this coming week. But moving on to game two of Saturday, we had Green Bay visiting the Chicago Bears. And wow, what a ride that was. For starters, we both had the Bears selected. Um, you want to get some thoughts out, Lawrence? Because I
I'm.
definitely could rap.
This was an unbelievably nerve wracking game. I had the Bears. Uh, the Bears were not playing this first half. They just weren't playing. Both sides of the ball, they weren't playing. Packers looked incredible. It's a horrible thing to have to say. Um, but, and Caleb in specific looked extremely frustrated. He was shouting on the side of the field when they had to turn it over. He didn't look happy at all. Um, But there's something interesting in that, just the way that they came back uh, in the fourth quarter, and I personally think that's why Tom Brady likes Caleb so much, because you hear Tom Brady talk about the things that drove him in his career. It was anger, it was
Mm,
frustration. When he was angry, that's when he played best.
no, absolutely.
I see that in Caleb. I see a lot of determination in him, especially when things aren't going their way. And it was such a weird game because there were some injuries. There were a lot of injuries. Um, and I definitely was so confused by the end of it that the Bears defense was holding so
Mm,
well against the Packers in the end of it. But what an incredible game! What an incredible comeback! That fourth and eighth play,
that
Caleb threw the ball, did the
did,
did the Michael Jordan pose essentially.
did a little jump, man.
Yeah, yeah, incredible game, incredible win for the Bears. That's all I got.
No, it was incredible. The first half we looked frankly terrible. I was sitting there like I half expected this. We don't look like a playoff team. We look like a team with a first year head coach that made the playoffs. And I think, as backwards as this might sound to say, our two key defensive injuries are really what turned that game around for. Um, it was the it was the Edwards injury where DeMarco Jackson started getting the reps over Edwards, and it was the Billings injury. Personally, I love Andrew Billings. Seeing a man of that size do the athletic things he does is beautiful. It really is. I love the Bog Man, and I always have. It's a riot watching him play football. But he's slow. He's aging. And at this point he feels like a detriment where he can fill those gaps on occasion, but if it's a run play, he's a negative. Unless they're running it down the throat and they're going to run it right at him, he's not catching that back. And that does hurt the defense. That was hurting our pass rush. It was hurting everything. And with Edwards, DeMarco Jackson coming in, he's a much better scheme fit for Dennis Allen's defense. I love TJ Edwards. He is a great linebacker. He's been a stalwart on our defense in terms of being a captain and, leading our defense. He's been a big part of that. But in that same vein, the run defense he provides is not there. He's he's a great coverage linebacker, but even then he's lost a and he's had injuries this year that have slowed him down as well, and that's led to him not his best quality. He is not doing to his best extent, and that has also hurt the defense. Where Demarco Jackson has came in and made plays and served as a great linebacker for us when our two top backers were down, and now one of our top two backers is down again. It's his time to shine, and he's showing out. But that second half defense was beautiful. Jalen Johnson turned things around after getting burned in the first half. Had some key plays, some textbook work that you just love to see out of a cornerback. And really, the key was the offense. You know, Holston Loveland with 8 receptions for, I believe, 132 yards. As a rookie, he's only been allowed to drink for a year.
Yeah.
He's younger than you are. And to do that in your playoff debut is immaculate.
Nuts.
Caleb putting up a crooked number in the passing in the passing yards because our run game was not there. We were not moving the ball on the ground like we'd like to. And to go back to what you were saying about Caleb being angry, and to tie it in a little bit with Tom Brady, I saw a clip today where it was Brady sitting down with the rookie quarterbacks from last year, having like a dinner with them, and he was discussing the 28-3 comeback. And the way Caleb was staring at him and watching him tell
Yeah.
that story was like he was hanging on every word, like it might be the last word he'll ever hear. It truly looked like it was important to him, and this game showed that. The leadership he possesses at such a young age is a beautiful thing to see. Him screaming at Burden on that first interception, that arm punt we had. From what I understand, Burden was supposed to run a post there. He was supposed to break inwards. Granted, Caleb could have hit him on the outside there, but that's not where he expected him to go. So he put the ball where he expected him to be. And he was cursing and yelling at Burden on the sidelines after that. It was visible. The frustration was there. And at the end of the game, when Caleb threw the touchdown to DJ Moore, Burden ran up to him and was calling him the comeback kid and hyping him up and laughing with him. It shows that these guys are bought into Caleb as their leader. That when he's yelling at them, it's not from a place of I'm putting you down. It's a hey, we need to fix our mistakes. We need to be better than that because we are better than that. And I think that's huge for a young team like we have with a young head coach. Not to gloss over another key injury, late stage of the game, it was the play right before the DJ Moore touchdown. A ball actually went right through DJ Moore's hands. Ozzy Trapillo went down, our left tackle. He has a torn patellar tendon. He will not be returning for the playoffs. But the presence of mind for a rookie to hop off the field there and save us the 30-second runoff or having to use a timeout, hopped off on one leg with a torn patellar tendon in the other. That is that's serious heart and shows how much these guys really care about this team.
Absolutely.
Um, and you couldn't ask for a better result, really. It was a great game. But I've also been talking about this game for a good 4 minutes now.
Right.
Many more thoughts. The 4th and 8 play is one of the greatest throws I've ever seen in my entire time watching the NFL. Be able to throw that ball so precise without your feet on the ground is amazing. Pure arm strength, pure talent. And I'm so grateful that Caleb Williams is my quarterback. Just so grateful. But like I said, we have plenty other games to get to. And first one is the final NFC game. We're going to Philly and San Fran. And myself, I leaned with Philadelphia. I thought they were going to be the better team. And with the key injuries to the 49ers, they were going to go out there and they were going to get the win, coming off their Super Bowl. But there was a factor I couldn't account for at that time. And that was Saturday night, Mr. Bob Weir, founder of the Grateful Dead, passed away. Big influence in my life, massive Grateful Dead fan. There's a tapestry over my shoulder there. I got the shirt on, I've got the tattoos. But beyond that, he was a massive San Francisco sports fan between the Warriors, the Giants, but most specifically the 49ers. And while I'm sure that most of their roster is not big deadheads or big fans, somewhere out there's a little bit of magic that helped them pull this out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game, though.
Yeah. Rest in peace, right off the bat. This game, let me just say I hated it. I'm glad the Eagles are out. We'll just start off with that. Again, like you said, going into this game, I did pick the Niners, but I wasn't. This wasn't a solid thing in my mind.
Mm.
Um, because like you said, the injuries, and they took more injury. George Kittle is out
Yup.
for the rest of the season. Huge, very disappointing
Achilles.
for the 49ers. But yeah, they just pulled it off. The Eagles' offense once again was not offensing. We'll say, to put it simply, it wasn't moving the way it should have. They fired Kevin Patullo, which I think was probably a good move on their end. I remember we were watching this game, and when Jake Elliott missed that extra point, I jokingly said the Eagles just lost. And this was like towards the beginning of the game. And then, I very technically ended up being correct on this
You did.
because by the end of it, they needed a touchdown and they couldn't do it. Um, so the 49ers advance. Eagles are out. Um, assuming that there will probably be more of a shakeup with the Eagles.
Mm.
Um, and once again, the 49ers pull it off by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah, it was a crazy game to watch because for a while it felt like there was no offense at all, and the offenses started rolling,
Yeah,
but not much came from it on the points end. And you're right, it really did come down to that missed extra point that you would referred to. Like, I don't know if necessarily they moved the ball down and get that field goal because they were struggling to move the ball seriously, but being down three puts Philly in a much better spot than being down four. Just
right,
logic dictates. Um, but San Francisco went out there and just did their thing. They did what they've been doing all year, where the injuries didn't affect them and they just played football. But I do think that losing Kittle while he's missed a good chunk of the season already is big.
yeah,
It, tying back into where I started this, he wrote "dead forever" on his cleats before the game. Luckily, not the foot he injured, but he he's just such a great personality in the league, and I've always been a fan of Kittle. Always rooted for him, and it sucks to see him go down this way, especially when they do advance and they're going to continue to make a playoff run. But that's going to be into their offense, obviously. The run blocking, the pass catching, he's massive for that team. And the fact that Philly couldn't get past them without him, regardless of how they've done without him prior, that is really telling of Philly and exactly why Kevin Patullo's fired. I know he doesn't coordinate the defense; he's their offensive coordinator, but he's still. They couldn't muster points on the other side of the ball. They needed to back up their defense that was doing the job, and they just couldn't. Um, with all the talent they have on that team, there's no reason their offense should have
yeah.
looked the way it did. And shout out to San Francisco for doing their thing and moving on. Just like San Francisco, we're going to be moving on to the AFC. Starting with the Jags and the Bills, which I for sure got wrong. I had Jaguars going pretty deep this year. And even with some flaws, Josh Allen looked like Josh Allen. He did his thing. And the Jags, I don't really know how to feel about this game. Like, I don't have many thoughts on this, but I do feel like the Jags did not play the way they've been playing the rest of the season. Their team looked different. And
Yeah.
in saying that, I think next year they're going to be terrifying with Travis Hunter back, and
Oh yeah.
it's going to be a very, very good football team. But first year with a new head coach to do what they did, and while it sucks to be bounced, they're going to be in a great spot next year, and I think they're a team that will be formidable for the foreseeable future. But right now, Sean McDermott aside, the Bills pulled this one out. That's really my thoughts on this game. What do you got?
It was insane. The Bills were using voodoo magic of some kind. No, I really do think the Bills at this point it may it makes sense to me why this had. I think the Bills at this point have been through so many playoffs. They're seasoned in the playoffs.
Mm.
Um, Josh Allen especially, and I mean he just did tremendous. He was being put together. He came into the game with a bad ankle. They had to check him for a concussion. He got rolled up on his knee, took a hit to the hand. He went through hell and back in this game, and he still performed. He was still rushing. He was still going for these plays on his own. He was still putting on the wheels. Um, and then in this game, the Bills also took a couple key injuries. Gabe Davis is going to be out with the ACL. Tyrell Shaver is also ACL, but he was able to come back
Yeah,
and return for the second half.
I believe he was listed as did not participate this week.
So yeah, we're gonna see how that goes for him. And then Jordan Poyer, the secondary, his hamstring. That's gonna be a huge blow for that secondary. Um, so going forward, I don't know about the Bills, but Jacksonville, I know that, like you said, they're probably gonna be a force next year. Um, I have no doubts about them next year, but we'll see.
Absolutely. Um, with that, we're going to head on to the Sunday night football game. Game two of the AFC slate. It's the Patriots and the Chargers. Predicted the Patriots. I believe you did as well.
I predicted the Chargers, so I was
Ooh,
wrong
you
on this
went the
one.
other way. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, well, I want to hear your thoughts then. I want to see where you're coming from on this one.
this was probably the worst game of this wild card round, especially if you're a Chargers fan.
Mm,
Um, that Justin Herbert and his offense couldn't do anything.
mm,
The Patriots' offense or defense, I should say, really shined. And this game made me feel a lot better about the Patriots. I'm not going to say that I wasn't one of those, or that I was one of those people that felt like, oh, the Patriots haven't faced anybody this year. They absolutely have. But like we said in the last video, this Chargers defense was going to be one of their biggest challenges, and they rose to the occasion and they showed out. Um, so I definitely feel a lot better about the Patriots going forward, and I feel like the Chargers are a team for me that kind of slipped through the cracks.
mm.
I forget about them, and I think there's a reason for that. Sure, they have Justin Herbert. They have some great players on that team, but what have they done? To be
No,
brutally
absolutely.
honest with you,
Well, I think a core tenet in that is the fact that they've lost a good chunk of their O line this year, especially their top O line play.
yeah,
And you saw that. You saw Justin Herbert get battered the entire game. He couldn't get anything going. And frankly, New England's offense didn't do a whole lot against the Chargers defense, but they did enough. And that does slightly change my opinions on New England. At the same time, I would have liked to see a little bit more out of them, especially a 2-7 matchup. I would have liked to see a little more, I won't say fireworks, but like I would have liked their offense to make a statement. That would have made me feel great about the
yeah,
Patriots. But they got the win and they did what they needed to do to get past the Chargers, which was play great defense. And if that's what you need to do to win, that's exactly what you do. Um, but I do think that it needs to clean a couple things up before next week. Speaking of offenses that need to clean things up, we got the final game of the wild card round between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans. And my sheer opinions on this game, the Texans played smash mouth defense. Their defense was clicking and stopping the Steelers, and they couldn't muster more than 2 field goals. But at the same time, the Texans' offense looked bad. Turnovers, the lack of fluidity, it did not seem to flow. CJ Stroud had a rough game, and great defense can take you a long way. A great defense is the best offense. It's been a saying for a long time. But you still need the offense to produce.
yeah,
And while I can appreciate the fact that they held the Pittsburgh Steelers to 175 yards total on the game, it is also the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is the worst team they were going to face in this playoffs. And I don't I don't see how you go into face a better defense and improve that offense week.
yeah. Just making sure
Little
you
dead
forget
air.
anything
Little dead
else.
air.
Yeah, no. This again, another case of I'm happy they're out. Um, this was a defensive shootout on which the Texans absolutely smashed. Um, the final score, does not speak to how close this game felt. I mean, two of those Texans touchdowns came from interceptions, and one of those pick sixes might as well have been Aaron Rodgers' last throw ever in the NFL. Which I'm sure we both feel pretty good about that.
So it makes me happy because it's a pick six. Obviously, he's the bad man. He owns the Bears. Blah 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 blah. But he is the last bastion of that quarterback play I grew
Yeah,
up with, and
that's
that does
true.
make me sad. It makes me sad that he could be gone because my entire life he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and it's
It's
something I
true.
had to accept. And it's weird seeing him fall. It's like crazy to think to me that he's going to be done potentially, but definitely cool that it was a pick six.
Yeah.
Take that.
Nope. I mean, yeah, the Steelers have had a rough season, which is, they're in the playoffs, but
Mm.
they've had a very up and down season. Tomlin stepped down, but I'm not too worried about their future. I feel like they could definitely clean things up. They
Mm.
have some good weapons. But yeah, this game, like you said, C.J. Stroud was not playing like how he should
Mm.
have been. That whole offense, really. A couple. He also got a couple disappointing interceptions. Um, but I do feel good about this Texans team going forward, especially with who they're facing next.
No, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. And to speak on that Tomlin point a little bit, apparently they're going to be requesting an interview with Brian Flores. If not, they already have. It could be a very interesting scene. But keep on the lookout for our upcoming head coach carousel video. We got that in the works. We got some plans. Just waiting for a good opportunity to get that out
Yep.
there. Um, but that's the wild card wrap up. That's everything there. We are at 27 minutes. Do we go on to the divisional or should we stop it here and move on, take another recording session?
I say keep going.
I mean, I'm with it. We're already here. Which leads us to game one, once again starting in the NFC. And we got San Francisco at Seattle. Going to be an interesting one. Seattle is a bit of a buzzsaw. They've been firing on all cylinders. And they're the one seed. There's a reason they're the one seed. Regardless of how close it was in the NFC West, they're there. And just to talk a little injury wrap, let me get up exactly what I wanted. Trent Williams has a hamstring, and he's one of the best football players up. Position value. He plays left tackle. He's played a great left tackle for a long time. And he's listed as a full participant in practice, but does that mean he's going to be 100%? Does that mean that hamstring's fully intact? Going to be definitely something to look out for. And we also have Fred Warner, who, while being a limited participant in practice today, did have his practice window open. So there is potential Fred Warner will be back on the field for the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. And in terms of the Seahawks, they've got some players who were limited in practice this week, being Charles Cross, Tyrese Knight, their linebacker, and Tyreek Woolen, their quarterback. And while these are just limited participants, they're still likely to go for the game. Missing Reek Woolen would be massive. He is just a lockdown quarterback. He's very important for that defense, which has been so good this year. And Charles Cross is not something you want to see. You don't want all line injuries this deep in the season. Regardless of depth, regardless of anything of that nature, it's still a big hit. And to not have your core guys going is not something you want to see going into a divisional game against a divisional opponent. This is your third matchup of the year. That does change things. But in saying that, I do still like Seattle at home. Seattle's offense hums, and with San Francisco's injuries, like we were talking about, Kittle's gone, and even if he missed a lot of time and they still clicked without him, that's a hit. There's no other way to look at it. Mm. The only thing that worries me is Sam Darnold in the playoffs. I'm gonna be honest, Sam Darnold in the playoffs makes me a little scared. How do you feel about that?
Well, as someone who's had to or had the pleasure of seeing Sam Darnold implode in a playoff last year, I don't want to see that this year. I don't want to see it this year. Um, I do have the Seahawks as well. I have gained a new respect for Sam Darnold this year on the Seahawks. I think he's starting to get his footing
Mm.
100%. I think this team has been great for him. Yeah, those injuries are concerning, but then you look across the field and you see once again the ghost of the 49ers. I think again, to their credit, they've been doing great with injuries all season,
Mm.
and even last against the Eagles. But I think this is going to be too much. These are divisional rivals. They know each other very well. They have won on each other this season. But I think a rested Seahawks team and one of the best teams going this year, it's going to be too much for San Francisco. I think the Seahawks, I think they got this.
No, it's a great point. That week of rest really matters at this point in the season where you can sit down and just take that time off. But it can be a double-edged sword because taking that week off doesn't, I won't say it kills momentum, but it can lessen momentum. And with the 49ers coming off that win, that does play a factor. They're hyped up. They're ready to go out there still. But I do like I was saying, I do still think it's Seattle. I think that they're just going to push the ball and they're going to do their thing. Plus, home field advantage is always great, and that stadium always
It's
it's
huge.
rocking. The 12th man, it's a great atmosphere, and I think Seattle's going to do their thing. Speaking of fantastic atmospheres, Soldier Field was rocking last weekend. Press booths were shaking when DJ Moore caught his second dagger touchdown against the Packers this season. And it's going to be the same exact way this week. The Packers definitely influenced that, but I think this year is showing the NFL landscape more than anything that the Bears fan base is a legit top base in this league, and they really care. And it's going to be some bear weather. Let's kick it to you, Lawrence. I want to hear what you got to say about this
This so
little
yeah,
ex-lover situation as well with Maddie Stafford.
going into this, I've been going back and forth for days now on this one. Yeah, Matthew Stafford, criminally underrated. This Rams offense, the best in the league, against a so-so Bears defense as it stands right now. But there's just something in me that refuses to root against the Bears. And I think they strive. I think what it is that they thrive when their backs are against the wall and when no one believes that they can win a game. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see a major upset here. Um, like you said, it's gonna be cold.
Mm,
It's gonna be a little. It's not gonna be great outside. We'll just say that. But we're looking at one team that has been known this season to find amazing ways to win games, and we're looking at another team that has been known to find amazing ways to lose games.
very true.
Both incredibly impressive teams, but I think it's going to come down to some more Pope voodoo magic for the Bears. So I'm gonna lock in on the Bears for this one.
I think saying the Pope and voodoo magic in the
It
same
doesn't
phrase
work.
might be
It doesn't work.
sacrilege. That you might have just gone against the
But
church there. Um, so I have an interesting stat here to go in line with
Sure.
Stafford and the rain and all that, which is looking a lot more like snow this week. Matt Stafford's last 10 outdoor games in the rain slash snow, so just any inclement weather when he's playing outdoors, he's 1-9 with 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. The current forecast for Sunday, 20 degrees, 18-mile-per-hour wind gusts with a 55% chance of snow at kickoff. That is, I do believe this is a 7:25 game. Let me just double check that. It's a 5:30 game. I do apologize. So that sun's going to set about kickoff, maybe the end of the first quarter, and it's going to get cold. The Bears have been practicing outside all week without heaters. The players were pretty bummed out about it at first, but they're starting to embrace it. And that is something that the Rams don't have the luxury of. You can cool a facility, you can do this, you can do that. You can't make it that cold. It is
Yeah.
that cold in Chicago, if not colder. I don't know what the current weather report is there today, but I know it ain't warm. And that is a big, big factor here. Stafford has never been a cold weather quarterback. Even though he played in Detroit all those years, it was in a dome. He didn't have to worry about the weather. And I think that that's going to play a huge role here. I know Devontae Adams had his time in Green Bay. He played there for a long time, and he's got some prep for it. But most of that roster have not faced a game where it's this type of weather. That plays a massive, massive factor in this game. And on top of that, I do believe that, like I was saying earlier, DeMarco Jackson is going to step up, fill that role, and play Dennis Allen's defense the way it should be played. I think that's going to be reflected in this game once again. I think some of those adjustments they should have made it, in the first quarter last week, but waited till halftime to do are going to be installed from the get go, and that's a massive factor as well. Um, though with the Bears' injuries, we're we've definitely taken a big hit. The Rams are looking like they're in a pretty good spot for this week in terms of injuries. Terrence Ferguson was a full participant. Um, Matt Stafford was a full participant. But Poona Ford, their D tackle, Kevin Dotson, their guard, and Darius Williams, their cornerback, are all limited participants or did not practice in the case of Darius Williams. Those are I Darius Williams, I cannot specifically speak on. I am not too familiar with his game, but I know Poona Ford and Kevin Dodson are very, very good football players, and they would be sorely missed. Or, if they're not playing at 100%, that will play a role in how this team fares. Um, in saying all that, I'm going to rock with my Bears. I was going to do it regardless. I'm a homer. I have bias. I'm 21 years old. I was born in 2004. The most recent playoff success we had was in 2010. I was 6 years old. I don't remember that. I was hardly watching football at the time. I was watching. I was excited, but I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know the ramifications of that. And since then, I've watched the double doink loss to the Eagles and then a terrible loss to the Saints in 2020, where we really shouldn't have been in the playoffs. So I'm gonna rock with my Chicago Bears, and that's the way it's gonna float. Um, but that is only the NFC. We have one more conference to go, the AFC, and that kicks off with the Buffalo Bills heading to Denver. And personally, I don't know what to make of this game. I really don't. It's confusing. It's Will Josh Allen be able to be Superman again this week through the injuries, and just keep willing his team to victories? Or is the Broncos defense going to go out there and put out a statement like they do every week and get some offensive production behind that? I'm very intrigued by this game. How are you feeling?
Broncos. That's how I'm feeling. Broncos. They're rested. The Bills, Josh Allen included, they're hanging on by a thread. Josh Allen is going to have to face a number two Broncos defense, a number one in sacks. And God, it's I'm a huge fan of Josh Allen. Um, they need this win so bad, so maybe that'll play a factor. Maybe it'll just come down to who wants it more. But Josh Allen, this is the first playoffs that he'll be entering without Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow. But sadly, there's Bo Nix, and I don't think they're going to hold up. I think, of course, in true Broncos fashion, they're going to find a way to win this game no
Mm.
matter what. That's what I see happening.
Oh, absolutely. I'm personally going to lean with the Broncos as well. The Bills have 15 players on their injury report this week to the Broncos 4. Um, Jordan Poyer did not participate. Like you said, Tyrell Shavers did not participate. Johnson did not participate. Maxwell Harrison. And just mixed in there, their kicker, Matt Prater's got a quad injury. He was a full participant, but you don't want to see your kicker with a quad injury.
No, no.
And it is rough seeing Josh Allen finally make the playoffs in a year without those other quarterbacks. And he's got his worst supporting cast around. Like, to be one of the greats, you do have to get through the greats, so you can't just duck it. And he did lose the games against those greats. He did. But I don't think this year, even without those quarterbacks, is going to be the year the Bills move on. Maybe they'll surprise me, but this Broncos defense is gross, and when the offense can click, it can click. Sean Payton is a Super Bowl winning head coach.
It's
Was it
true.
14 years ago? Yes, it was. But he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. And
Ring is a ring.
a ring is a ring. And I think that that does play a role in the playoffs. You can say the same thing about Sean McVay. He is a Super Bowl winning quarterback coach as well. But I don't think that I don't think the Rams are going to win. I do think the Broncos are going to win. And in saying that, going through this game that feels, I don't want to say it feels like a lock because it feels like it's far from a lock. But in my opinion, it has been the easiest to make a prediction on so far. To what is, frankly, in my opinion, the hardest game to predict, being the Texans Patriots game. Let you take it away.
This one again was also tough for me. Um, but I think at this point, it's very similar to the situation with the Bears. There's just something in me that refuses at this point to root against this Patriots team, especially Drake May. I think again another Drake May, another incredible second year quarterback, another situation where there's a new head coach in town that's turned things around. Um, but what I saw from the Patriots this round and what I saw from the Texans this round really shaped this because if the Texans play the way that the Texans played, I don't know. Of course, that Texans defense is unbelievable, but this Patriots offense is unbelievable. Um, so that being said, uh, little twist here. I'm going with the Texans.
But dude, words out of my mouth. I was so ready to argue with you about this. I personally am leaning with the Texans as well. I think it's going to be a defense on defense matchup.
Yeah,
I know you have your opinions about the Patriots offense, and I myself am gay for May, but it's they put up 16 against the Chargers. Chargers had a stout defense this year. I could not tell you
yeah.
their exact position, but I do believe they were a top 10 defense in the league this year in terms of yards per game allowed. Texans were one. Texans defense plays smash mouth football, and if their offense can give them any sort of production and they don't have to bank on 2 touchdowns from their defense, I think they can go out there and make a serious statement. Their offense does need to click this week. It really does. I could see this game going either way, but I do like the upset here. I love Vrabel as a head coach. I have for a long time. I loved him when he was in Tennessee. I think he's a great head coach, and he did a lot when there was seasons when he was in Tennessee where there was little. When the ownership was trading off his pieces and moving AJ Brown and doing this and doing that, he was still coaching a good team. A lot of playoff appearances, an AFC championship appearance. And in saying that, I think that he can scheme a good game and he can get the team wins. But I think the Texans defense is going to outdo what the Patriots offense can do. They're going to bottle up Travion Henderson. They're going to do the things they need to do to keep the ball in Drake May's hands. And Drake May has been phenomenal. That's not me knocking Drake May, but the more attempts a quarterback has to take
Yeah.
to get the offense to continue moving, the more room there is for error, especially against a team that could really take the ball away. It has some of the best defensive back play in the league currently. Their safety combo might be the best safety combo in the NFL. I don't know if that's even debatable. And that leads me to side with the Texans in this matchup. Got any thoughts left on this game?
Uh, I don't know. I want to really believe in the Patriots here, but I think it's going to be too much for them. If Aaron Rodgers can't do anything against this defense, who can?
27-year-old Aaron Rodgers?
Well, we'll get a time machine. We'll see how that goes. I don't even think. I don't even think
Their defense is
27-year-old
stout.
Rodgers. Yeah, this is a tough defense. The combination of Chubb and Woody, and you can't beat it. So this is gonna be you know
We're really towing a line
that's
with
what I
this
think. Yeah.
episode. Yeah, a little preface for you guys. This we try to keep it pretty clean on here, but it's not intended to be fully clean. We are people. We have certain vernaculars that we like to
Yeah,
use, and life happens sometimes.
we're
But
warming up.
we're warming up. We're getting there,
Yeah.
and this has been our wild card recap, divisional round predictions. Hope you guys enjoyed. We're gonna keep doing this. We'd love to have people watch. If people don't watch, some tells me we're going to keep doing it because it's fun. We talk once a week about football anyways, so we might as well see if people want to watch it.
Yep.
Um, but thank you to anyone who's here. And it's been a blast as always, Lawrence. I will always enjoy making these with you.
Absolutely.
We ran a little long this episode, but anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back sometime this coming week with some head coach stuff, maybe. I think that's the plan. All right, I think it's time to call it.
Yep. See you guys.